North of the Forth Bridge, north soon of the Forth Road Bridge, the Kingdom of Fife, a county that's written a lot of history and still has plenty to write. Fife is surrounded on three sides by water. Its tiny fishing villages produced Scotland's first admiral. From one of them, Alexander Selkirk sailed into the world of literature and pantomime. He was the original Robinson Crusoe. Scarlet gowns flash against the background of Scotland's oldest university. It was founded 4.5 centuries ago. The Royal and Ancient Club at St Andrews lays down the law for a world of golfers. A beggar's mantle, fringed with gold. That was how one Scottish king described the Kingdom of Fife. Some of that gold grows on the county's rich agricultural plain. There's gold below Fife's plains too, black gold. For 700 years coal has been mined here. Every day the wagons move out to all parts of Britain, towards the steel mills and railways, the steamships and power plants. Here is part of that new history Fife is writing, the new and dramatic architecture of Rothes Colliery, East Fife. It's odd to think that the first machines in industry were attacked by howling mobs of frightened men. It was too early then to see that the machine marked the end of an era of back-breaking, muscle-tearing, bitter physical labor. Machinery doesn't sweat, but man does. A miner certainly does. But at least at Rothes Colliery, no man does anything that a machine can do for him. George Mackay has been at Rothes Colliery 2 years, but he's been a miner all his days. And he had deep roots in the community he left. His father was a collier, so was his grandfather, and his father's canaries were known all over the country. When George married, he married a miner's daughter. Met her 15 years ago at a dance in the local welfare hall. So you see, it wasn't an easy decision George made to come to Fife. It wasn't easy at all. But like most difficult decisions, he's glad now that he made it. He likes the feeling of being looked after. Skilled medical attention available all the time. So far, George has been lucky. The medical centers of today look clean and efficient and attractive, and so do the nurses. No complaints about the canteen either. Hard work makes hungry men, and a good canteen keeps hungry men fit to work hard. Saturday, the day we feel we've all earned. The day that belongs to us, the day we belong to ourselves. Whatever the destination board says, every Saturday bus is bound for leisure by way of relaxation. Even when the signpost bears a name that is brand new in the Kingdom of Fife. In 1947, 6,000 acres of land were set aside. The project, a new town in the heart of Fife, to house the men who would come to work at the National Coal Board's new pit at Rothes and at the other adjacent collieries. Ideas became plans. Plans became blueprints, and at last the ground was cleared for action. Houses began to grow up stiffly from the ground, course after course of bricks, walls and floors and roofs, windows and power and water, all the complex skills that go to create a house. Finally, the finishing touches, the decorative bits, like pointing the walls. After the pointing, the painting. A bold use of color is to a house what cosmetics are to a woman. In 2 years, a house has become a home. George's family have settled in easily. Glenrothes is a town of passionate gardeners. They've even formed a thriving gardening association. A walk along the houses makes you almost believe in those pictures you see on seed packets. Maybe it's the Fife climate and soil. Maybe it's an expression of pride in their fine new town. Maybe they know that a fine garden gives a house personality. Could even be a healthy rivalry. Let's leave George's family on its way into town and have a look at the town itself. Most towns just happen, but Glenrothes is one that happened on purpose. The Glenrothes Development Corporation planned its town with a view to the necessities of the moment and the demands of the future. It planned imaginatively too. There's no shrinking here from color. The imaginative design of the Glenrothes flats has already won 2 Saltire Society awards. The community has its own places of worship. For those of the Presbyterian faith, St. Margaret's. And that's St. Paul's Roman Catholic Church. When people like George and his family uproot themselves, it sometimes means breaking the bonds of affection between the old and the young. Glenrothes solves that problem by allocating special houses to the elderly. They have their place in the community, and the place they have is their own. Houses for the old, and for the young, the immemorial attractions. The endless joy of discovering that what goes up must come down. Who said there was plenty of room at the top? Well, it's time we caught up with that family again. Where are they likely to be? Let's see now. Saturday. Why, of course. Shopping. Mrs. Mackay has plenty of choice. The town has a very attractive main center, and there are also several local shopping areas. Apart from mountaineering, there's no more dangerous pastime for a man than a woman shopping. The bait is laid. It's wonderful, perfect, divine. Oh, why isn't there another word? Bet you he could think of one. Gives a man a full heart a welcome like this. Gives a man an empty pocket a welcome like that. A royal visit. I think he's going to the library. Who was it who said, "For malt doth more than Milton can, to recreate the working man"? Either she's describing an angel she met, or they're still talking about hats. Saturday can mean so many things at Glenrothes. The leisurely click of bowls, long shadows on the green, and good company. In the summertime, the beach, only a few miles away, sea and sun and sky, and the shimmering horizon, and the wonderful feeling of doing nothing, and knowing that it's good for you. For nearly 9 months of the year, there's football. East Fife at Methil or Wraith Rovers at Kirkcaldy, both within easy reach. Sometimes there's nothing more pleasant than a stay-at-home Saturday, especially when you have the kind of house that makes staying at home a pleasure. George has discovered that he has a green thumb. His roses, when he doesn't watch them, have green fly to match. Sometimes George remembers how it all came about. He knows now that he made the right decision, that his move is now justified by everything around him. He knows it most of all when he looks at the new and remembers the old. In her own domestic kingdom, Mrs. Mackay feels that she's only now beginning to live. For the first time, she has space. In the old days, cooking a meal was an ordeal. In her new home, cooking is so easy that she sometimes feels almost guilty. Yes, it's a good life that George and his wife have built up for the family. All the old problems have gone, except one. The only time the family is ever divided is at mealtime. Looming sinisterly over Saturday is always the thought of school on Monday. Children will be delighted to know that Glenrothes is well endowed with schools. The whole range of schools, primary, secondary and high school, is incorporated in the plan for Glenrothes. To her, life's all fingers and thumbs. This one's going to grow up to be a bank teller. Schools are frauds. They'll lure you in with plasticine and bottles of milk. Then next thing they hit you over the head with an isosceles triangle. Domestic science, a cold, hard, formal name for what any woman will tell you isn't a science but an art. For the boys, technical training. It's here that these isosceles triangles make sense. Glenrothes planners have been careful not to put all their industrial eggs in one basket. Their aim has been to provide a wide range of employment. This factory makes electronic components, work for young women. The Scottish Milk Marketing Board has established a large creamery at Glenrothes. Plastics, material with a future. This new factory provides many more opportunities for employment. And there's a factory making coal cutting equipment. Drums revolve in a thriving paper mill. A new town, providing new industries. New industries providing new employment and new opportunities. Opportunities for George's family. New factories are springing up quickly. You daren't tell a stranger to go to the third factory on the left. By the time he gets there, it'll be the fifth. A busy new town, creating its own history and tradition. And naturally, some days are importantly different from others. Notice the hat. The great day is over. The bunting hangs dark and still. and the pageantry remains only in the sunset sky. Today, great though it was, is already something for memories. Tomorrow is another day, and it is towards tomorrow that we must look, for tomorrow is the true landscape of Glenrothes.